Good Thursday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. Still pretty wet outside again. Bailey, I thought it was supposed to be spring.
I know it is spring, but it's really not feeling like it. We started off the week strong, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. But we are expecting a little bit more of that wet weather to continue all across the state. So it looks like Alaska's reached a consensus for every region. We're looking ahead to overcast skies for the day and some of that wet weather lingering all the way into the interior and also into the panhandle. Right now, those conditions are overcast, but as we look at our time lapse, you can see in Anchorage, we did hold on to a lot of that low-level moisture, and overcast ceilings have been pretty strong the last couple of days, and that's no change from what we're seeing right now. More overcast skies are going to pursue through the day, but temperatures right now near that freezing point, just slightly above that. I know this morning I had about a trace of snow over my car, and you might also have the same, but we will see a transition into more of a rainy mix as the day progresses. This wet weather will extend all the way down into the southern portion of the Kenai Peninsula and even reach all the way into the Copper River Basin, where we are expecting a little bit more of that moderate to heavy rainfall to persist. And we even saw a little bit of that snow mix pushing into areas like Clam Gulch last night. We are expecting that to continue for today as well. So everything you saw from today in South Central, that will be very similar for what you can expect for today, just slightly more rain and snow pushing on through the region. As we look at our snowfall and our rainfall tracker, we're not really expecting to really build or pick up until the afternoon hours and even into the overnight hours, and this will move into tomorrow as well. But the Copper River Basin's expecting over ½ an inch of that precipitation. But across the state for today, lots of that snowy mix lingering into Bethel and Dillingham, even extending into the Aleutian Chain where that front is passing through. But for South Central and Southeast, much more of that rain and snow is likely for today. Even into the interior, some light scattered showers are expected.
Anchorage police are investigating a third officer-involved shooting in less than a month. It happened Wednesday morning after police say a stolen vehicle case quickly turned into gunfire. Investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn was at the press conference at police headquarters and shares the latest from investigators.
Police say officers were trying to recover a stolen car when a suspect ran and then fired in their direction, and a police K9 was hit. Here's what investigators say led up to the shooting. Police say it started just after 3:30 when the owner of a stolen vehicle spotted that car at the Circle K near Minnesota and Spenard. Dispatchers kept the owner on the phone as the car left the lot, with the owner following from a safe distance and relaying directions to officers. A short time later, police say officers moved in near 34th and Eureka to stop the car. 2 people got out and 1 was arrested on the spot, but police say the second took off on foot toward Bering Street. Officers and a K9 team chased. Police say an officer reported seeing something in the runner's hand, and moments later, the suspect turned and shot 1 to 3 rounds towards police. 4 officers then fired back. Police say K9 Kiska was shot and later had a toe removed. The suspect was also hit multiple times, given aid at the scene, and then taken to the hospital. In response to concerns of 3 officer-involved shootings in 3 weeks, Chief K said shootings overall within the last 6 months have declined.
And what I can tell you is that the Anchorage Police Department has the same commitment to excellence in responding to calls that are high risk, regardless of what the facts and circumstances are.
And police say this is still a preliminary timeline, and they expect to release more details at a follow-up briefing in about a week. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
The Anchorage School District is reversing course on a plan to start the next school year a week early. This after hearing concerns from families. In a memo released Wednesday, the district said the first day of school would return to August 19th. 3 extra instructional days would be moved to the final quarter of the year rather than added to the start of the calendar. The school board is set to review the revised plan next Tuesday. Families are being told to wait before making any changes until a final vote is taken. A split second on the park's highway changed everything for a Houston volunteer firefighter, leaving him and his 2 dogs in critical condition. Now, as Jace Bertrand reports, his community is stepping up for the man who has long stepped up for them.
Michael is the most laid back, nicest guy.
Lisa Johansson has known Michael McMartin for nearly 5 years. She volunteers with the Houston Fire Department, and they are neighbors.
Earlier this winter, my son slid off the road into a ditch very early in the morning, and I put out a call for help. Michael was the first one there pulling him out.
To be able to help is like something that's invaluable, especially with the EMS side. Like, especially now that I'm hurt, like I appreciate it so much more.
On Tuesday, McMartin was in a crash. His car swerved into a ditch on the park's highway.
I have 2 dogs, and I believe I turned to look in the back at one of them, and whenever you look a certain way, it kind of pulls on the steering wheel. And I think that's what dragged me into the ditch.
Volunteers helped rescue him, including an off-duty firefighter and a veteran. A few minutes later, Johansson arrived.
It makes your heart drop. You see the vehicle and it hits you, and you realize who you're coming up on. But at that point, you know that you're just going into work mode. And then after the call, it kind of hits you like, whoa, that's my brother that just got taken away by ambulance.
McMartin was taken to the hospital and had surgery for a fractured vertebrae. His 2 dogs were taken to the emergency vet.
The puppy that I have was 100% fine, just a little scratch on her paw. But my 5-year-old Malamute has had 1 surgery already and needs another one, and it's not looking too good.
McMartin says he's been able to walk for several feet in the hours since the surgery.
It makes me want to just do so much more than I already do. Like, it makes me want to never miss another call and just be there for everyone that's been there for me.
A reminder of the strength of community in the face of adversity. Jace Bertrand, Alaska's news source.
Well, the only LGBTQ nonprofit health clinic in Alaska is closing its doors. Identity Incorporated in Anchorage says its last day of in-person appointments will be tomorrow. The last day for telehealth appointments is 2 weeks later on Friday, May 1st. Final operations will be May 15th. The facility's services included LGBTQ affirming and primary care. It also provided STD testing and help with behavioral health. Identity says Medicaid payment delays, the need to vacate their building, and billing concerns for past services were all factors in this difficult decision. The current political climate was also cited. A fundraiser is being planned to make sure patients and staff are supported during the transition. Learn more about that on our website. A new addiction and behavioral health program built specifically for veterans and active duty service members is now open in Wasilla. Hope Valley Health and Wellness says the residential program is designed to feel more like home while helping people deal with substance use, mental health, and other challenges. Leaders say the goal is to help keep more veterans in Alaska for treatment instead of sending them out of state, and to connect them with support for things like jobs, transportation, and long-term stability. The southwestern city of Adak is a former naval base. For years, there have been pushes to bring that base back to life. Now, hundreds of millions of federal dollars are going toward that effort, with impacts that could reach beyond Arctic security. Political reporter Will Courtney has this story.
So we're seeing a significant federal investment in ADAC to increase or to build up the existing infrastructure that's out there.
With federal investment aimed at reopening the former naval facility in ADAC, the private sector is also keeping a close eye on what's happening in southwestern Alaska.
Certainly where that level of spending goes, the private sector is going to be looking and be interested.
Back in December, $150 million was appropriated by the federal government to reopen the base. That's something Senator Dan Sullivan has been pushing for years. Now, private sector leaders say that money could have a dual use.
Combine that with private sector interests and commercial interests, and what you have is you have a space where private sector investment can bolster that infrastructure on top of what the federal government is doing.
With lower state revenues, more economic activity, even in a city as remote as ADAC, could mean more dollars flowing in and out of Alaska.
So I think the investment that you're seeing in ADAC, you'll see a ripple effect through the entire state. Every dollar that goes into ADAC is going to have an outsized impact throughout the rest of the state.
Will Courtney, Alaska's news source.
Staying with politics, you can check out Will's latest interview with Senate Minority Leader Mike Cronk on the latest edition of Alaska's Political Pipeline. They cover the priorities before the end of session and what life outside of Juneau looks like. We'll have that right now on our streaming services, mobile app, and podcasts. As the seasons change, dozens of bird species are heading north to Fairbanks. A group of volunteers is working to make them feel welcome by planting barley seed at Creamersfield Migratory Waterfowl Refuge. They're hoping it helps birds stay a bit longer and away from Fairbanks International Airport for safety reasons. The airport cleared snow from Creamersfield last week, followed by the Kiwanis clubs doing their part to help out. As volunteers prepare for more birds, some species like snow buntings, Canada geese, and mallards have already arrived. Still ahead today on the Morning Edition, we head to Ted Stevens International Airport for a look at the master plan to expand and keep up with increased demand throughout the coming 20 years after the break.
And it seems like most regions across Alaska have reached a consensus for overcast skies and wet weather lingering into the weekend. As you can see, be sure to stay tuned for the full forecast coming up.
And welcome back in on this Thursday. Bailey, we're not seeing much sunshine this time of the week, but we are still gaining daylight. So what are we looking at?
Oh yeah, lots of that daylight, very little bit of that sunshine. That sun is actually going to come up in the next 15 minutes or so for Anchorage, and it just came up a few minutes ago into Fairbanks. So be sure to take a look at your sun data and when those sunset times are for later on today. But for right now across the state, we are looking at temperatures sitting a little bit closer to that freezing point, especially across Anchorage right now, even into western Alaska where we're sitting in the teens, but up in the North Slope, temperatures in the negatives. And we're going to stay in the negatives throughout most of the day. Now, right now across Anchorage, those overcast skies still lingering, and these are going to persist all the way into the weekend. And those scattered showers are also going to linger. So that's what you can expect for today, no matter if you're in the interior or southeast or even in south central. That is the forecast for today. These overcast skies are actually going to reach as far as into next week. And we do have these slightly cooler temperatures, most noticeable into the slope and even for the interior. But I wanted to show you our live satellite and radar for right now. Into Bethel, conditions have been looking like this for the last few days, and we're still holding on to more of that snowfall into Bethel. That's going to continue throughout the rest of the day today. But for areas like South Central, more of that wet weather and some of that snowfall is still pushing into the western coastline of the Kenai Peninsula, even into the interior. You might notice this winter weather advisory has popped up, and you can see that quick little burst of green over in southeast where we are seeing a little bit of that rain pushing on through for the morning hours. But into the interior, these scattered showers are expected throughout the day today. Very light amounts of snow or rain are expected, just very isolated showers. But this winter weather advisory will linger from 7 a.m. today, lasting all the way into Saturday afternoon. This is for the eastern Alaska range, where about 6 to 12 inches of snow are expected as that storm begins to push up. And the Alaska range is actually absorbing a lot of that moisture, and that's why the interior has stayed fairly dry. Lots of those scattered, very weak showers, but we are expecting more showers to push in for the afternoon and even into the overnight hours tonight. We've got this storm pushing through South Central. More showers are expected into the Copper River Basin for today compared to yesterday. But for Southeast, you can see lots more of that wet weather heading into this region, especially as that next storm begins to build and push in for Friday. So Friday, it's going to be a very wet day across Southeast, but you can expect the same for today as well. That low pressure system to the west has begun to linger a little bit more into the interior, where we're expecting even more of those snow showers for the weekend. And when I say Alaska's come to a consensus with these showers and overcast skies, I mean it. You can already see that lasting across most of the state, but as we head into the weekend, that's when that next storm will begin to make landfall yet again into western Alaska. So for today across Southeast, expect much more of those scattered showers. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s across most of the region. But for the interior, we are seeing those temperatures reaching up into 40 degrees for Fairbanks. And actually, that's the warmest spot into the interior. So into South Central, scattered showers are going to persist through the day with temperatures into the low 40s, even into the upper 30s for some areas with those cooler temperatures on the way. Very similar conditions into the Matsu and for Anchorage, temperatures at 41 degrees today.
From the terminal to the tarmac, we're getting new access and new answers about the future of Anchorage's Ted Stevens International Airport. As Joe Allgood reports, newly published plans from the Department of Transportation lay out how the airport is preparing for the next 20 years.
The 2026 ANC Master Plan is cleared for takeoff as Ted Stevens International hopes to go wheels up on several new projects, hoping to expand the role of Alaska's biggest airport.
The master plan is really a 20-year blueprint as to how the airport is strategically going to develop and grow and make sure that we're accommodating future operations.
With air travel on the rise,
Currently, the terminal sees about 5 million passengers coming through it every year, and the master plan is projecting just over 2% growth in those passengers over the 20-year horizon.
so they're looking for more legroom.
What we call the bump out, the expansion area. It was determined that it would expand further out into the apron area and allow for additional gates to be built, and then for the baggage handling system underneath us, providing that additional capacity, and then most importantly for TSA to provide that additional opportunity and space for them to continue doing what they do and having that increased operational footprint.
And for those asking,
Parking is definitely an area that was identified.
this summer the airport will add an additional 268 spaces. But in the long term, there's a few ideas kicking around.
One of them is just a larger surface lot closer to the terminal, as well as recommendation for an additional parking garage. And so we're proceeding with looking at different options and taking into account of varying factors on when and how we can accomplish that as quickly as possible.
Cargo's getting an upgrade too.
Some of the construction projects are happening this summer with regards to upgrading our current infrastructure for taxiing and aircraft parking.
When it comes to the price tag, improvements are largely funded by federal dollars or the airport's own revenue.
It's important to note that no state tax dollars go to support the airport and its operations.
Flying into the future. Many of these projects are still in the very early stages of planning, so we'll only know upon final approach what actually gets built and what doesn't. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.